There's gotta be a way of killing it. How? How do we do it?
You can't. It's bullshit. You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? Perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We are a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Praska, and with me is
your other host, Khalid Hussein.
Hi, Khalid.
Hey, Joe.
I almost dramatically paused. I kind of dramatically paused before I said with me because there's something really special about today.
What? Please enlighten me.
It's a Franken first, if you will.
I won't.
Listeners, Khalid and I are in the same room. Folks.
We are.
Yeah.
They said it couldn't be done.
West Coast meets Midwest.
We done did it, y'all.
Yeah. Khalid, you're in town.
I'm in town, and I am more than in town. I am in your living room trying not to wake up your beautiful children. But yeah, no, this is exciting. It's a real test of our will because I feel like despite being friends all these years, we've never really done this where we talk like looking at each other. And I am so curious to see if that like adds to it or takes away from like our dynamic.
Oh, you're in for a treat, Khalid.
It's ominous.
Take it as you will.
Yeah.
All right, Khalid, I'm going to move this along. I just clapped. That was probably loud for our listeners. Sorry, listeners. I'm excited. But we're going to be moving on because, as mentioned on our last episode, we are starting our very special series, which we've been calling XENOMANIA, where we are going to cover each one of the films in the Alien franchise with some special guests and some fun ideas and some fun things we're going to do. But I wanted to right away bring in our guest to kick off this series. Joining us today is Phillipa, a.k.a. Pip Ballantine, who is an award-winning speculative fiction author. She's known for the Books of the Order series, the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences novels, and the Shifted World series, and more. She's also the author of the recent novel set in the Alien Predator universe called Alien Inferno's Fall. Welcome, Pip.
Welcome.
Pleased to be here. Glad I don't have to share a mic with you guys because that's a tough
It's
goal.
chaos. It's chaotic.
It's going great. It's going great.
I think you've got to be a special kind of friend to share a mic with because my husband and I both have podcasts and we keep it separate mics, you know. Even
Maybe smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. This might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. XENOMANIA might go a lot shorter than everyone thought.
It might. Who knows?
If it breaks into a scuffle, well, that's all great content.
Honestly, yeah, exactly. If it bleeds, it leads.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Pip. We appreciate you joining us.
Oh, no problem at all. I love talking about, you know, one of my favorite franchises in the world and, you know, the monsters that made them.
Oh, I'm so pumped to dig into this one. I got a few new guest questions for you that we ask all our guests on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So out of all corners of pop culture, this could be a movie, book, TV show, anything. What would you consider your favorite monster or creature? And if it's not the same, what would you consider to be the scariest?
Well, my favorite creature, I think I have a creature and then I have a scariest creature. My favorite creature has to be the Mon Calamari from Star Wars.
Wow.
I don't know why. There's something about the eyes and the little tendrils and his little flippers. I just remember going and seeing. I saw all the Star Wars movies with my dad, and I would remember seeing that one, and I was just like, I had a thing fish back then. I actually belonged to a tropical fish club, you know, because I was such a cool kid back then. And as soon as I saw the Mon Calamari, I just loved them. And then, of course, they became the "It's a Trap" meme, and that just the fact that it was literally named after the creator's lunch that he had, apparently, just makes them just adorable to me.
I love that answer.
So that's Admiral Akbar's species, right?
Admiral Akbar's species, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. they're just adorable. I just, the whole saying "a fish out of water" I think really applies to them. And sometimes as geeks, that's when I was growing up, that's sometimes how you felt. So maybe it was like a connection on a molecular level. I am.
It spoke to your inner fish person.
It did, my inner fish person.
I like that. I love that a lot. I don't think we've gotten a fish person
Well, there you go.
yet.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blazing new ground here. I
Yeah.
love
It does.
A lot of firsts today.
Now, my scariest, obviously, is going to be the Alien Queen.
Yes.
When I saw that, I remember watching that for the first time and going, "That's a puppet? How is that a puppet?" Because I was already scared of the xenomorph, but then when you made it an intelligent mother, that just ramped it up to another level. And I guess maybe on a molecular level, I also integrated with her thirst for vengeance and just, you mess with me, it's gonna go down. I'm gonna learn about elevators like in an instant, just to chase after you. Yeah, and also for something so large, she's remarkably sneaky.
Yeah.
The way she kind of tucked herself up under there, it's impressive.
Yeah. No, that's a good answer too. That's perfect. That fits right in. Next question for you. What would you consider to be like on your geek card? What do you find yourself most geeky about?
Oh, man.
The whole list, right?
I'm a sort of a broad spectrum geek. I would say that my OG geek fandom areas were D&D.
All right.
Science fiction reading. My dad is a huge science fiction reader, and so I was reading Andrea Norton and Anne McCaffrey and all of that, like really early on. And Doctor Who. Those are probably my cornerstones. I do literally remember hiding behind a couch watching Doctor Who. There was one episode, I'm not sure if you've ever seen it. It was called The Ark in Space, and it was in the Tom Baker years. And he comes onto like a space station and it's empty. And he's going around trying to figure out why the space station should be. It's got frozen people. It's an ark, but there's no actual people running it. And so he, I remember I just about dropped dead at about 8 years old watching this. He opens a closet and a giant ass 8-foot cockroach creature falls out dead on top of him. And it turned out that this I think they were called the Wern or the Werver. They had a lot of Y's and V's in it. Were basically using these frozen popsicle people as incubators for its eggs, which is terrifying when you think about it. Of course, the special effects back in the 80s with Doctor Who were not that great. I realize now that one of the monsters that I was terrified of, it looked like a worm, but it was actually a person painted green, wrapped in this new stuff they had called bubble wrap. And it was wriggling across the stage. And apparently they couldn't record the sound on because all you would hear was popping as the guy wriggled across.
That's so funny that one of the first like popular uses of bubble wrap was like a dude just like wriggling on the ground.
I mean, I think Doctor Who really groundbreaking as far as, like looking around like a grocery store and thinking, what can I? Well, there's a couple of salt and pepper shakers. Let's make an alien series. We'll call them the Daleks. They look like they're literally salt and pepper shakers. Those are my original triad of geekdom, but became more obsessed with Star Wars and Star Trek equally because I don't want to, start any fights between people. But I loved both of those. Big into movies and that's movies and writing are sort of my media of choice.
Awesome. I think we have a lot of overlapping fandoms for sure. Sounds like it, yeah.
Oh yeah. Joe is definitely geeked out about Doctor Who to me on multiple occasions.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was there during the dark years where there was no Doctor Who. We never thought it would come back.
Oh yeah.
Very time in history.
I've only seen the like Eccleston years and on, so the older ones are definitely foreign to me. I may have seen like a passing episode here and there in college, but that's it.
Well, I recommend Tom Baker. He's my doctor that I grew up with, who had a ridiculously long scarf because one of the props costuming ladies didn't know when to stop making a giant scarf.
That's just the kind of fun thing of like behind the scenes informing the lore, because I only know Tom Baker as the scarf one. You know, it's iconic.
yeah. But I and Star Wars, I also remember like whatever I must have been about 7 or 6 or something when it came out. I still remember seeing the skeletons of his aunt and uncle and diving under the chair. So I've enjoyed being frightened by science fiction for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's a horrifying sequence when you think about it.
Yes.
Right? It's dark.
Oh, yeah.
It's dark.
Yeah, my dad was like, get out here, come on.
So, Pip, I want to ask you a bit about your contribution to the Alien universe. Mm-hmm. So it just came out last year, I believe, Inferno's Fall, right?
Yes, it did. Yes.
So just for the listeners, could you just tell us like a brief like synopsis of what Inferno's Fall is about?
Well, it's set on a mining planet within the UPP, and it's got Aliens has always been about the different strata of social structure, right? So in Alien, you always have the blue collar people, right? So it continues that with having a group of miners who are on a UPP planet, and they unfortunately come under bombardment by a horseshoe-shaped, mysterious-looking ship appears in the sky, and an unfortunate rain of mysterious black stuff starts falling out the bottom of this ship, and hilarity and hijinks ensue for them. And then the other half of the story is, of course, Zula Hendricks, who is, of course, if you dive into the graphic novel side of the Alien franchise, she's very beloved, and it was great to write about her. And also an android character. I've always felt a bit bad for the poor. I mean, when you think about it, most of the bad guys in the Aliens movies have been androids, except for Bishop. Bishop was a good guy. Bit of a shame how he ended up at the end of that movie. But so I wanted to write, a sympathetic android character. And I'm not going to make any spoilers because I've talked too much about how she tends to be. But yeah, so Zula Hendricks has formed herself with the help of some higher up in the military, a unit of soldiers whose specific job is to go around and deal with the xenomorph threat, called the Jackals. Love me some Anubis, so that's what I was thinking of in that respect. And they turn up to join the party on this UPP planet, and have a good time. But I had a lot of fun writing it, that's for sure.
One of the cool things I like about your book is that I haven't read a whole lot of tie-in novels to Alien Universe, but it's cool that it kind of incorporates like the different kinds of creatures that we've encountered throughout the franchise, like the engineers, the horseshoe shape and all that. Mm-hmm. The different kinds of xenomorphs, and I think you had like the thrashers or something in there were kind of cool.
Yeah, because the pathogen affects the whole planet basically in this one. So I had a lot of fun like thinking about what the fauna was on this planet and how that would look when the pathogen got hold of them. Some of them, because I'm originally from New Zealand, so I based some of the big birds and things on New Zealand animals, and and then some of the smaller ones, which were exciting and horrifying to write about.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I feel like we love, like doing a monster podcast and being into monsters. Like, what other like creatures can be xenomorphed?
Yeah, turns out anything.
You don't really hear about like the New Zealand wildlife. I feel like in that corner of the world, Australia really gets like
Oh.
all the hype with the could be sci-fi monster type animals.
Oh yeah, I've been there. It's like that. Yeah, you're not far wrong there. My mother and I once we were visiting there, and she went to sleep on a couch in the hotel we were staying at, and the sliding door was open. And when my dad and I came back from shopping, she was huddled in a corner, and there was a giant goanna lizard
Oof.
that had wandered in from the garden, and she was like, yeah. So, yeah, I did. I mean, Australia seems like an easy version to make into a xenomorphic paradise. But New Zealand has some. I mean, not so long ago, they're all extinct now, as far as we know. Giant eagles. There were actually humans arrived in New Zealand, and there are legends of these giant eagles snatching up children, which actually turns out probably based in reality.
Wow.
There were also, of course, the moa, which was the largest bird that you've ever land bird. Would have put KFC. They would have really liked to get their hands on some of those giant, like 6-foot drumsticks.
Sure, yeah, original recipe, extra crispy.
Yeah. They were so tasty that we ate them all.
Wow.
So yeah. So I decided to put a little bit of that in there. There's also quite a bit of the family dynamics of how New Zealand is. Since I've been living in America for a while, I notice it's generally very nuclear family. Husband, wife, and kids. In New Zealand, it's a bit of a wider concept: cousins, aunties, all of that sort of thing. Is sort of wrapped up in a term whānau, which is your wider community. So I worked a bit of that in there as well as far as the protagonists on the ground at the time. So, and I always love writing characters that people love and then killing them. It's been my modus operandi for a while. So the Alien franchise just seemed to encourage that even more.
It does. Yeah. So you mentioned Zula Hendricks, and so you have some characters who've been in previous like EU works and stuff. And then one of the things I was reading about with this book is it kind of had to follow like canon and storylines that have kind of come through different novels and sort of like a shared universe sense, like not just the movies, but also like the novel verse. So like, what's the process? Do you have like collaborating with other authors, and is there like oversight from like the studio in writing the tie-in novels? What's that like?
Well, in this case, I was very lucky to be paired up with Clara Kajar. I can never say her name right. Her last name. She is an Australian lawkeeper who's been involved in a lot of different projects.
Oh, cool.
The role-playing game, video games, all that sort of thing. She's had a lot of fingers in a lot of different alien pies, and so I felt like I was writing with a safety net because she was always there to tell me, I'm like, what happens, how do the ships how do they fight if they're all inside little beds, and so we had to figure all of that those sort of things. She just knew every crazy detail. And so she'd been involved also with a lot of books from Titan. So when we were talking about who we can bring in, and it made sense to bring them in, not just, make a little cameo and make everybody fans happy. We like to make fans happy, but it needs to be like make sense within the context of the book. So we brought in some of Zula Hendricks's people that she's been, when she was tootling around the galaxy, she made friends with some people, and they ended up in the book as well, working for her within the Jackals. We touched on a lot of different stuff but it allowed enough room for me to write a story that was interesting to me as well. Now, I mean, whenever this is my first time in somebody else's sandbox, and I was a little bit nervous about it. But with Clara sort of keeping me on the straight and narrow, and we wrote a whole before I started writing a word, we did a whole 12-page document of this is what's going to happen in the story, and then you send that off to get approval from the publisher and then the IP holder, and then you get that back and they say yes or no. And they were actually remarkably good about some of the things that I put in there. There were some things that I got away with. I was like, I would have thought that wouldn't have made it. I'm not sure if there's a bit in the book about the dropship's nose art, and there's one of the ships is called one of them's called the Exterminator, and it's got a big guy with sunglasses on the nose art, and the other one had a strange looking sort of a puppet looking guy going ork bork bork and whipping up some eggs in a bowl. As my husband said, he said, did you just make the Muppets part of alien lore? I was like, yeah, I guess that means canon-wise that their Muppets exist.
Wow.
See, I thought about, but I didn't say that. I just described it. But they were like, oh, they didn't even say anything about it. I was like, okay, that's cool. So then you write it, of course, which takes a little bit of time, and then you send it off to the publisher, and then they put it on after they've looked it over. They put it on back to the bigwigs, the IP, the law masters, to make sure everything is correct and within canon, and doesn't step on any toes because there's more alien projects coming out than just books. So there were some things that I was told, can't really do that. And there were other things where they're like, you can kind of dance around that one. We've always had the engineers you've always got there's limits to how much you can write about the engineers because they haven't really been, there's a lot of questions about them. Like when the pathogen drop happens, are those engineers that get hit by the pathogen? I don't know.
Good question. Yeah,
it is. So, but actually, my nerves and fears about working with somebody else's intellectual property were my fears were not realized, which was really nice. And apparently, some of the higher up execs liked the story quite a bit. So, that's
awesome.
I was quite happy with that. Yeah.
Wow. So you may be back in the future.
I may be, she said. Wink, wink.
Suspenseful.
Wink, wink.
That's really cool, though, that you can be such a you start out as such a fan of this obviously huge franchise that is world changing in terms of what it did for sci-fi, and now you're a part of it. And when they talk about the history, the legacy of it, you're in there.
I am. Well, the funny thing was that when I got the phone call about it, it was Sunday morning and I was quite half asleep, and I was like, "What, Ailey?" And I was like, "Am I dreaming? Am I asleep right now? I don't know." The funny thing was that when I was at college, I did a lot of role playing, and my role playing group, we would often, after role playing, get fish and chips, which is the New Zealand equivalent of McDonald's, I guess. And we would very often watch Aliens, and we knew it enough so that we were all doing the voices and,
Sure.
it was like one of those ones like when they do Grease and everybody says the words and does,
Yeah, the Rocky Horror watch along kind of thing.
Yeah. And I was like, I think that my favorite rom-com was Hicks and Ripley. Like when he's handing her his gun, I'm like, damn, that's how you romance a woman. You're like, let me show you my grenade launcher. Yes. So, and of course, the Alien has a cat in it, and I'm a huge cat person. So yeah.
We're a couple cat daddies ourselves, so you're in good company.
Yes, I have a ginger cat that screams at me and judges me. That's what ginger cats do, apparently.
We got one right here staring at us too.
Yeah.
For a long time, I did nurture the thought that perhaps the alien and the cat were an alliance, and The cat was
Wouldn't be
just sort of,
surprised.
Jonesy was sick of being picked up, and this was his way of cutting down the amount of unwanted scritchies.
Yeah. No, Jonesy had his own objectives.
He did. When you think about it, the alien actually looks down when he's in the box. He doesn't kill him.
He
He's like,
does, yeah.
we're in this together, mate. And he's like, yeah.
I think apex predators have a nice respect for each other. They give each other the wide berth necessary to take care of their own kingdoms.
Have you seen the little book that came out? It was called Jonesy's Day Out, and it's like alien and Jonesy just hanging out together. It's adorable.
It's a little picture. I mentioned this while we were watching it. There's a little picture book. Yeah.
That's adorable.
I need to get it.
There's also an alien cookbook if you
Ooh.
if you want to do a
Curious
chest
what that would be.
Well, a lot of sculpted bread that looks like, erupting out of something. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that next Thanksgiving. I don't know.
That could be pretty fun.
Chase it with some unpasteurized android milk.
Yeah.
All right, we should probably dig into it. I guess that's a good
Oh,
as good a
yeah.
segue as
Dig
any.
into it.
Android milk. Khalid, for those who may not know exactly what we're talking about with all the context that we've given them, what are we talking about today, Khalid?
Thank you for asking, Joe. Today we are talking about the 1979 sci-fi horror film Alien, directed by Ridley Scott and written by Dan O'Bannon. And I have a nice little synopsis from our homeboy Google. It goes a little something like this. In deep space, the crew of the commercial starship Nostromo is awakened from their cryosleep capsules halfway through their journey home to investigate a distress call from an alien vessel. The terror begins when the crew encounters a nest of eggs inside the alien ship. An organism from inside an egg leaps out and attaches itself to one of the crew, causing him to fall into a coma. That's it.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
So I feel like I gotta clear this out first before we dig into some thoughts. My question on my notes here was like asking our group here what our like history is with this movie, but Khalid, I want you to start with that. What's your history with Alien?
To the annoyance of many of friends, I have never seen any of the original Aliens movies. I have, for some reason, only seen the 2 Prometheus movies.
Really?
And exactly, yeah, that's the reaction I always get. And I watched Alien versus Predator.
All right.
That was up until now. I just had not bothered to. I think it was notoriously scary as a kid. Like anybody who talked about it being super scary. I had a friend in middle school who was a really big H.R. Geiger fan, and so like obviously also an Alien fan, and he was kind of scary. So I might have like subconsciously associated it. Yeah. So I was just like, no, I don't want to be scary, so I won't watch it. But yeah, no, the streak has been broken. I can no longer say I haven't seen an Alien movie because I've seen the original.
There we go.
Yeah.
So what were your initial thoughts then of the movie?
I really, really liked it. I think that it is a very thoughtfully directed movie. The writing supports that thoughtfulness. And I'm a really big fan of in sci-fi movies when they do the whole like blue collar aesthetic, even when it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like this movie is ostensibly about 7 astronauts, but like some of them like talk like they're just like mine workers or something like that. Like I think during the movie we were even talking about how like Yaphet Kotto and Henry Dean Stanton, like they act like they're shoveling coal on the Titanic, and it's like, well, they had to be like engineers, right? Like they had to have like extensive like they're academics, but like but it's blue collar and it just works. And I think it's one of those things of like there's an element of disbelief or a suspension of disbelief that you put into it that once you do that, you just go all in on, yeah, they're just blue collar space guys and it works. And I think that it did a good job of that first like 30 to 45 minutes when the alien really isn't or the xenomorph specifically isn't a factor as much, when it is just about the interpersonal conflicts and stuff like that, making it about Yaphet Kotto like arguing about why they're getting less shares and stuff like that. It's a nice real thing that like workplaces regularly deal with, and you start asking yourself why one person makes more than the other, especially on a project where it sounds like every one of them is equally important to getting a mission done. Arguably the captain should have made the least, because you're asleep for like 90% of this trip, man. Like the ship is the captain. You're just the guy that like comes in when autopilot can't like land it or something. So I thought that was a really fascinating and smart move, especially for like, this is before they knew a franchise was going to happen. All intents and purposes, this was just a one-off movie when they made it. And so couching it in something like that, which like is so universal, like for as long as there have been jobs, there have been people that go, why does he make more than me? And that was like such a nice human thing to like put at the center of this story before it like goes into the superhuman. Outside of that, I really loved all the characters. Ripley did not disappoint. She's been, Sigourney Weaver's career was like minted off of this character, and rightfully so. And yeah, like they all just bounce off each other really well. I really loved Ian Holm as the android Ash, which, as Joe will probably tell you as we get into it, like I was instantly wary of him, and like just I kept side-eyeing everything he did because it was making me so mad. And the payoff to discovering he was an android really, really was like gratifying for me. I wasn't just suspicious of him. I was
You were suspicious of Bilbo? What?
Why shouldn't I have it?
At one point, I love this. We actually watched the movie together, but at one point, Khalid was just like, is he working with the alien? Like, just exclaimed it.
No, I specifically said, is he working for the alien?
For the alien. Okay, fair. Is he working for the alien?
Like, he just had no survival instincts. And, like, that's if you've listened to the episode or the podcast before, like, that is the one thing that will always get to me is like when someone is like, there's not enough money on the table for you to just ignore survival instincts. So when they do, I go crazy. And like this movie had a perfect explanation for it. Yeah, he's an android. What is survival to him? Like he's just weirdly turned on by the xenomorph. So it worked. It worked for me. I'll save my other thoughts, but those are my initial thoughts. Joe, what about you?
I love that, Khalid. I think whereas other friends of yours might be annoyed by you, I saw an opportunity. It was fun. So, no, of course, I think that both Pip and I, like, we've seen this movie. If I'm assuming correct, you've seen this many times, right?
I couldn't count how many. Yeah.
What if it was just like one and done? Yeah, no. She's like, I get it.
Yeah. Same. This movie is just like, for me, it's, when I was a kid, I remember renting this from the video store. Like my dad, like was kind of taking me through it. This was around the time Alien Resurrection was first coming out, and I think I saw the trailer for it. So like, I probably was too young to be watching it. I don't know how it was exactly, but I remember renting them each week, like the movies, and just like I think at the time I was a much bigger fan of Aliens because as a kid I the action was cooler. But like now I look back and I'm like I'm really appreciate Alien in like a different way, a different like context of like what it's doing, like the slow burn elements that I think as a kid kind of bored me, like are so much more exciting to me now, just from like a production design standpoint, or like a standpoint of like thinking what they were able to do with so little, like miniatures or like props or like even like stuff that they like just designing and just everything like that. All these little intricate details that the creators obviously paid so much attention to. It's so fascinating to just watch like what they were able to accomplish, and just like it's so simple in some sense, and I think that's what makes it so brilliant. But there's also just so much there to like unpack at the same time, so it's really hard to achieve that kind of a balance thing. So just in a general sense, that's my thought. Of course I love it. It's like woven into my DNA as a monster lover. It's something I've like always loved since I was super young, and I've always like resonated with this franchise. But Pip, how about you? What did you think of this movie specifically in the franchise?
I never get tired of it. When I was writing Inferno's Fall, I just had this one and Aliens just on constant in the background playing. I was watching it again and I still jumped at certain points, and I'm like, how is that possible. I love, the whole thing about the blue collar workers. I think they were described as truck drivers in space, and you really feel like that the environment that they're inhabiting is very lived in. It's got, all the sort of dangly junk that you would expect long haul truckers to have, and the whole, the pillars of the Aliens franchise, even though they didn't know it was going to be a franchise, were set up there. You had, the blue collar workers. You have the company hates you, and you're just a cog. You have a strong female character that unfortunately was not replicated for, I don't know, decades later. Ripley basically stood alone up until Terminator 2 when Linda Hamilton got on board. But she was always just an icon to me. And also the fact that there was apparently the casting of it was just, these are the characters we have. Men and women can slot into whichever role there is. It's whoever walks in the door, and Ripley was supposed to be a man originally. I that's the rumor. And the fact that it's a slow burn means that you get those characters, you love them, you get to see their idiosyncrasies, how they work together, the friction that's between them. By the time the alien turns up, you're super invested in them. And when they start dying, it hurts. And that's entirely what I took for my novel, was that, let's make them all fully realized characters and then horrifically murder them.
You're right, though. I was very, very mad when Yaphet Kotto's character died.
He made a while, though.
He made it a while, but like, I said it that night, and I'll say it again. Like, Lambert was a goner. Okay, like, I just from jump, like she kept just like standing still and crying about things in a way that just felt very much like, you don't want to survive this. It's not even a matter of can you. So like Yaphet just like to his dying breath trying to get her to move felt like such a just like you seemed like such a savvy, like in it for myself kind of guy up until it killed you. And now I don't know what to think.
What did he say? Like, can you make a flamethrower? 20 minutes.
Yeah. The guy that can make not even one, like 6 flamethrowers in 20 minutes is not going to sit around waiting for you to move when an alien is on its way to you.
But it kind of shows that he was doing all this bluster about talking about shares and that, but he actually cared about his crewmate enough to try and save her. So then you love him even more.
Yeah.
You're like...
Yeah.
He also seemed very invested in just killing the xenomorph in a way that most of them weren't. Like, everybody else was at the very least like, okay, we just need to get away from this thing, or we need to like corner it and get it off the ship. And he was like so mad at it.
It's like, how dare you come in here? I was this close to getting a full share. How dare you?
Oh my god. Yeah, really. Just like, you're messing with my money, man. Like, that was his whole thing. But no, sorry, go on, Pip.
No. I was just going to say that the other name I have for this movie is People Don't Listen to the Woman and Everyone Dies. Because I wrote down 3 times when Ripley could have saved them all. There's the bit where she says, "Don't open the airlock. We've got to follow the rules. If I let you in, we could all die." Tick, that happens. There's a bit where she says that they've damaged their ship landing on the planet. And she says, to Dallas, we can't lift off because we're blind on B and C deck. And she lists a couple of things. And he says, we don't need that. We can fly without that. Being blind on the deck later on kills Dallas because he can't see where the alien is. And then she's also brings up to Dallas, hey, Ash seems weird. And she starts kind of probing, like, have you flown with him? Do you know? And he's like, oh, no, they just brought him on. And she's like, this guy is sus. I think we should vent him. That's definitely
and that's why for me it's like Ash isn't the real villain of this. It's Tom Skerritt. Like, I've really been thinking about it the last couple of days, and that guy is such a just like toe the company line, like just rube in a way that like they were always going to be doomed. But it's real to like who gets promoted up in the in industries. You know what I mean? It's not the independent thinker who is going to like come up with what's best at any given moment. It's the person that will toe that company line and will take directives easily and won't put up a fight. And so like in that way, it's so frustratingly like realistic.
You actually think about it, maybe the company deliberately picked him because he was like that. And he would be the one that would go off there. Yeah.
They've got algorithms on algorithms, and they're like, well, we need a Ripley, but don't put her in any decision-making like position.
Because they might not be able to control her.
Yeah, we need one person that cries and is immobilized from fear at all times, even though they're ostensibly like space pilgrims. Like everything is like paralyzingly scary, you know? Like you're a 10-month spaceship ride away from home. Like everything is scary. So you would think that they would pick people that like have nerves of steel, but nope, you need a Lambert for whatever reason.
Yeah, and actually, when you get into the Aliens movie, there's also some theory that perhaps they're picking the worst people there as well.
Yeah.
So maybe the company is just full of bad people that it can manipulate.
Exactly, because if it was a bunch of great people, then they would be the ones making the decisions.
Yes.
So I've got a question for both of you guys that I've thought about this a lot. So Alien, this film has won so many accolades over the years. It was Academy Award winner for Best Special Effects the year it came out. And also in 2002, it was deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress, selected to preservation in the United States National Film Registry. It's also ranked by the American Film Institute as the 7th best film in the science fiction genre, and as the 33rd greatest film of all time by Empire. So there's something that this movie did that was iconic, and we all know it is iconic. We all know it's like it's important in the pop culture zeitgeist, but I'm just kind of curious what you guys think. Why is this movie so resonant still?
I think that a part of it has to do with just like how successful like the corresponding movies were that kind of retroactively cemented its legacy. You know, I think it's just that it's such a solid foundation that you can go back to. And also just to add a nice little feather in the Alien franchise's cap, there is a xenomorph statue at Houdini's mansion in Hollywood. I know because when I was a production assistant, we shot a music video there, and it's a huge sprawling like mansion area, you know, one of those things where like you get the real estate in the 1920s when it cost like pennies on the dollar, and now it's like, how did you get this much space? But I had to keep walking past it, and it's not like it's just like a xenomorph statue that's like there for everybody to like marvel at. It's embedded in a wall like on the driveway. So like you just, if you're not thinking about it, you'll just turn a corner and there's a xenomorph just like so that was really cool. But yeah, I think a big part of it is the design. I think H.R. Geiger takes a lot of credit, especially with that first movie. Because yeah, like there was never anything like it before that, and it was just so fully realized. You know, you think about like what it does to Henry Dean Stanton, and like you inherently understand as it's happening what's happening to him.
John Hurt,
yes.
I mean, he kills both.
Yeah. Right, but like what he does to him, the way he like the face hugger and all of it, you know, I think it's that like I don't have enough experience in the sci-fi history to know what came before, but like to my knowledge, this is like the first time that you really got like a beat by beat breakdown of like, oh, this thing is an apex predator in every way. It's an apex predator in that it has acid blood. It's an apex predator in that once it connects to your face, that's it. There's no way to get it off you without killing the body. So like from that point on, multiplying and impregnating, and then the chest bursting, like it never stops being a scary son of a bitch, you know? So like I think that's really for a lot of people what like makes it just like a cut above in terms of a creature and in terms of a franchise.
Good answer. What do you think, Pip?
I think it's multiple things. I think the setting of it, the characters of it is very grounded, and people can kind of see themselves in the characters of Nostromo. Even though it's set in the future, they're like, I can see those people. I recognize those people. I probably know some people like that. But then it's also the the untamedness of the alien, the inescapableness of it. That, like when we're hunting in the savannah, there was always a tiger in the brush, right? But these days we've got the tigers under control. But what happens if there's a monster that's so relentless and just damn terrifying that it gets that primal action going? Also, if you're talking about Geiger, you can't really miss the fact that a lot of his imagery is deeply sexual, and there's a definitely, it impregnates you, and that's terrifying. At least 50% of the world would never expect it to be pregnant, but there's poor old Ash having a very terrible pregnancy. And it's that sort of vivid imagery, that sort of invasion of the human body that kind of does make an impression on everybody that sees it. And that iconic scene with the chest burster coming out is so visceral, and there's blood flying everywhere and screaming and confusion. And those sort of things combined to me make a real impression.
I do have to amend it. Now that you mentioned it, when the chest burster scene happens and the alien comes out, that's the one time it's not scary, is when it's like just the little puppet legs and it zips out of the room.
I love that.
That's the one.
You got to put yourself in the 70s in that situation.
There's no judgment. Like this is not a critique in any way. If anything, I wanted like a full like little a scenelet or two of just the thing running around doing things until it like matures.
It was actually, if you look at it, apart from the fact it just burst out of someone's chest, it's actually kind of cute looking. It's like a little, like,
it's a baby.
It's Baby Yoda before Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like, merchandising.
Yeah.
Full
Jim Henson.
All right, I have some thoughts about this too. So you guys both bring up some pretty great points. I think that I was kind of thinking about and doing a little bit of research into like the genre, in a sense of like, so this movie really expertly blends sci-fi and horror, and it's not very much the first science fiction horror movie by any means, but it feels like, in just looking at kind of the history of like movies that have come out with that have been playing around in both those sandboxes, it's the first one to I almost want to say the word prestige, use a prestige lens in a sense. Like, we have so many movies that are like sci-fi horror that are in the 50s and the 60s. They're like seen as pulpy or campy or B movies. And this movie had zero camp to it. And the genre, it seems like with Alien, the genre sort of transforms into something new, kind of like taking some well-known sci-fi imagery. I think you see things in this movie, like the opening sequence, like as mirrors the Star Destroyer from the Star Wars in the beginning, where it's like coming over, you see the prop ship coming over like that, like the way it's shot. And you see even like there's a moment where I think Ash, the Ian Holmes character, was like in a little like glass dome, like moving around, that reminds me of like the Star Wars like shooting in the Millennium Falcon. They take that sci-fi imagery that you kind of recognize. I know it's only, at this point, it's been like 2 years since Star Wars, but then they blend it with like something more serious and like less campy, like tension building horror, like Halloween, like Carpenter, or like Jaws. And they take those two genres and bring them together in such a way that I think hadn't really been done in a really serious and respectable manner at that point. And I think that it just was something special, like lightning in a bottle. That was like, I feel like even still, like so many films are trying to capture that feeling. And I think books is a place where it's done a lot better often. But like, I'm trying to think of like, great sci-fi horror. I mean, we interviewed the writer Pandorum. That's another one that I think hits it, or like Event Horizon, some of those movies. But it's like, you
just watched that last week.
Really? Yes. It's an interesting one.
I definitely, now that you say that, I definitely pick up a lot on like what like I liked about The Expanse. You know what I mean? Like, it very much feels lived in. You know what I mean? Like, there is something about like those like broader ones, like your Star Treks or your Star Wars, where the ships all just feel kind of like so advanced and so far along that you take it for granted what it can and can't do. And obviously for story purposes, at times like something will malfunction, but it's like, it's very much like feels like cosmetic, as opposed to with this, where it's like, oh yeah, like there's like this thing is like it's advanced. It's a very advanced ship. It has to be for what it's asked to do. But it's still just like a hunk of junk, you know, like that scene with the steam blowing and Yaphet and is like teasing Sigourney's character with it. Like all of that just feels so real and just like this is basically like an El Camino in space in a lot of ways. And like that's so cool and so gritty, and so you really sink your teeth into it in a way that feels so so novel and fun. And like I think that there's a reason people have pulled from that because it's so cool.
I think a lot of people try to capture that blue collar aesthetic like you guys have been both touching on. Like a lot of things since then have tried to really capture that, and I feel like not always the best, but it's just pioneered that really.
I think
Absolutely.
maybe it also had, maybe it was early on the whole corporations don't really give a damn about you. Because I feel like the fact that there's more alien projects that are coming out that are obviously going to go in that way, I think, you know, maybe it was looking ahead to some of the things that are happening now where, you know, people are realizing, hey, guess what? My loyalty to a company is not necessarily reciprocated. And in fact, maybe I am just a cog in the machine. And Weyland-Yutani is everybody's favorite corporation that I feel like right now might actually being, getting ready for an IPO somewhere in our world.
They even do such a good job of like, I don't know if like it was as big of a thing then, but you know, that whole idea of like, oh yeah, your work should be like your family. You know, that old chestnut that they like pull out where like it's just like a way to kind of like manipulate you into caring more about the people you work with, as opposed to like the real healthy line that most people draw of like, this is work and that's my actual family. But with this, your actual like person that you have to like communicate with is called mother. Like,
yeah.
It's very telling. And I think, yeah, it's one of those things of like a truism of your boss doesn't give a shit about you is only going to get more and more evergreen as like you get further from when the movie came out.
Yeah, the fact that they call the AI of the ship, which is called Mother, that feels very manipulative. Like, hey, we're just taking care of you. We love you and care for you. Oh, by the way, we'd like to impregnate you with an alien being and bring that.
You're
back.
all expendable.
Crew expendable.
Yeah.
The crew is definitely expendable. I mean, the computers are hilarious to me now. I'm like, oh my gosh, remember when that was advanced, like in the 70s? Woo! But for me at least, it doesn't age badly. Some things you watch, like if I watch, oh Lord, not that I would ever do it. If I watched Green Lantern from the early 2000s,
goodness, why would you?
No, the green screen vomit that they put up there has aged worse than this movie, which is, you know, much older. Just because I don't know, I'm always one for right now I think the mix of practical effects and special effects, digital effects, is the best way to go, because some of it looks a little creaky, but it's, you know, when you see the alien, like the fact that those were actual people in those suits, contortionists, that there was one in the original in Alien, and then there was a bunch of them in Aliens, that these were very thin people in alien suits moving so organically, has kept the movie from, you know, being something that you would have watched in the 70s and then never watched again. Even Event Horizon looks worse than this.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, you can't beat a guy in a suit. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's just me not wanting the computers to win, but ultimately, like when it comes, it's performance is what you're talking about. And there are people that like, you get them in front of a computer, they can like put something together that will blow your mind. Like, obviously James Cameron, who will come up in the next episode, is a big example of that. You know, he can do the computer generated marvels, but I think that at that point you're talking about somebody who cares enough to like make it not feel like a computer, you know? And you don't get that as often with a lot of these like bigger franchise movies like Green Lantern, where it just feels impersonal and it feels like an afterthought when it should be the only thought. If you're going to make it all computer generated, then make it the best computer generated thing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm looking forward to seeing what new Alien production. I think there's a TV series and a movie that are being produced, and I hope
That's what I heard. Yeah,
I hope there will be people in suits.
I hope so too. They feel like they need to. I think the movies from the guy who did the 2013 Evil Dead movie.
Mm-hmm.
That one, everybody loves that one.
Yeah, that could be kind of a cool. I think he could bring some interesting stuff. I wanted to stick a pin in what I think Pip you brought up, like how sexual this movie can be in a sense. I got a quote from Dan O'Bannon, the screenwriter, and he said the scene or much of this is kind of like a metaphor for like male fear of like penetration or like oral invasion of John Hurt's character by the face hugger, and he says, quote, "It's payback for the many horror films in which sexually vulnerable women are attacked by male monsters." So like a lot of the screenwriter talks about like sexual themes. I mean, Geiger's work is like just inherently sexual all time. There a lot of themes running through it, but I feel like that's a consistent one. I don't really have a question necessarily following that up, but what do you guys think about that?
It's interesting.
It's just interesting to bring up.
Well, I was watching both movies with my husband the other day, and I turned to him and I said, "You know what? Suddenly, if men worry about what consent is, I should say, well, there's non-consent."
Yeah, there it is.
Maybe you'll understand it when a face hugger's got its tail wrapped around your neck. Suddenly, you are confronted with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in agreement. Like the idea of like losing agency and being violated like that. I agree with his instinct to make it a man. I think it would have been a little too on the nose and too awful if it had happened to a woman. Not that it wasn't any like it was great that it happened to John Hurt.
Oh, it's wonderful.
But I'm also a little like wary of like a guy patting himself on the back for like being like. Because I don't think that I've ever heard a woman just be like, "Oh yeah, like the problem with rape fantasies is that it happens to a woman." Like it's not like I wish it happened to a guy. So like I feel he's like 75% of the way to getting it. You know?
Yeah.
Probably good for that era.
Yeah, for that era, very very like inspired.
Yeah. For the late 70s, the fact that Ripley was the headliner. You know, I mean, is she the last girl?
The final girl? Yeah.
She's the final girl, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say she was a girl. I mean, she's the officer. And,
was she not in a sorority?
I know. She and Lambert weren't braiding each other's hair and talking about
boys. This wasn't a slumber party gone wrong.
That's what it needed. It needed more pillow fights. What didn't they think of it?
My money's on Yaphet. He's like a foot taller than everyone else. he's gravity's on his side with a pillow.
I mean, the way he throws Ash around. I mean,
yeah. Which his strength levels were very inconsistent. Like I feel like he was just letting people kind of like toss him around for a bit of that because I feel like at least in the Prometheus movies, they make the androids seem pretty overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are. There's the android thread. I mean, you guys you're gonna watch all the movies. The android thread is quite an interesting one as you follow it through. I just when you watch Aliens, I love Bishop. Ash is not a nice robot.
No, Ash is not very nice. Bishop is great.
But Ash is an early android, I think.
Did you notice?
He's still got a few points.
This is probably Khalid. You won't know this because you haven't seen the other movies yet, but Pip, you may have noticed this. I don't know how well known this is, but the idea that the androids in each movie, like the names are just going through the alphabet.
Oh.
Ash, Bishop, and then in Resurrection it's Call, and then we got David, so ABCD.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never noticed
how intentional that is.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll have to make a E.
Yeah, you need the E one there.
I'm excited to get to the rest of the alphabet androids. I've seen. Is it David?
David? It's Michael Fassbender. Yeah.
I'm excited to get into that one.
Yep.
For a lot of reasons.
A lot going on there.
Yeah, but I will say
wait till you see the flute playing, then you'll really.
No, I've seen the flute playing.
The flute one's
trust me, like
talk about sexual themes.
For the longest time, that was one of the only opinions I had on the franchise. So
You
But
blow,
no,
you blow, and I'll do the fingering. I really wanted to find a way to put that in my book, but
it
it
is. It's art. It's art. It's high art. I don't know what to
it
tell
is.
you.
It
Like
is.
it's weird masturbatory flute playing, and I love it. I love every second of it.
Well,
Cannot wait.
when you think about it, Ash, when he tries to shove the rolled up magazine down her throat,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
there is a little moment where he glances. She's sort of kind of dazed on the bunk, and he glances up and just for a second looks at the sort of pin-up girls that whoever's bunk it is has got there. And a lot of people say, well, he's mimicking human, what he sees as the human. This is what a human does, and so I'm gonna, attack her this way. But otherwise,
That's
because
interesting.
because I asked Clara, and I had many discussions about what the heck that was.
we
Because,
were that was a head scratcher for me too. I remember asking about it when I saw it.
Yeah, I was because I got to write about androids. I'm like, how human-like are they actually being? But now, when you think about it, remember all these AI chatbots? Some of them have had to be taken offline because they've become racist and misogynistic and all of those things because they copy us. So maybe Alien was calling it, right? Decades ago.
Yeah.
Great point.
I mean, I'm a fan of Ash, at least Ian Holmes' performance. Like, I think he elicited exactly what he was supposed to with that performance. And he played it in such a way that was like, I think if he'd have done it today, they would have said that he was like coded as neurodivergent or something. But I don't think it was that. Like, I think there was something more to it where it was just like beyond like a human understanding of things. And the fact that he was the only one with that knowledge until the reveal
Well, there was
really
also
helps.
Clara and I were also talking about whether the fact that he was being told to override the basic programming, because in this universe they have strictures about not being able to hurt humans and by error of omission.
The Philip K.
the
Dick thing, the
yes, the laws
the
of
laws
robotics.
of robotics. Yeah.
So when the company tells him, "Hey, do whatever it takes, including offing any of the crew that get in your way," that like creates some sort of problem in his programming, and that's why he sort of flips out like that.
It was, I mean, I've only seen it the once, so I didn't have as much time to like really like think about his breakdown, but that does make sense in retrospect because like, yeah, it's hard to play something that's supposed to be cold and unfeeling, but still like dealing with a conflict of some sort. And yeah, like Ian Holm just understood the character in a way that like made it like really stick in my mind and really like stick with me. And I'm excited to see now, especially with all you've been saying about Bishop and the others, I'm excited to see how they evolve that idea.
I also noticed when I was watching it today, there is one trickle of white blood, android blood, that comes out, and I'm like, where is that coming from? Has he got a split in his head?
Well, yeah, because like she like shoves him or something before she
Oh,
realizes.
that's right. Yeah.
But like
So maybe
I was surprised too, because like I just saw the white and then it clicked to me like, oh, he's an android. Like up until then, and I'd seen Prometheus, so I know androids exist in this world, but it never for a second as I was watching him like occurred to me. And then I saw like the white speckles and I was like, oh, he's an android. Interesting.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And when you look at him, he's actually dressed completely differently to the rest of the crew.
Yeah, well, they did such a good job tricking us with like with Tom Skerritt talking about like, well, he's with the science or whatever, like he gets to decide all the stuff with that, and you just like immediately go, okay, so it's like a hierarchical thing, and you don't push it, and it's so cleverly done.
Look, it's just science stuff, okay? It's just he's a science geek. Leave him alone. He knows what he's doing. He's a little bit weird, but we have to kind of let him do his thing.
Let him do his science.
And Ripley's
this is like this is like 45% Tom Skerritt's fault. I won't say it's all his fault, but I'm going to give him a good hefty chunk.
He deserves a good portion of the blame there.
Like he's a bit, I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but he just seems a little too relaxed. Like, I feel like he should be on a beach, just watching the waves and smoking a doobie and listening to some, I don't know, beach music with his car. He just doesn't seem like he should be a captain. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely not. No. He should be like running a shrimp boat. You know, like he should never leave Earth, and probably not like a state. Like he should be confined to one state on Earth.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he was like related to somebody in the company, like he was the,
That would fit.
married to one of the cousins of the people that ran Wayland, and they're like, he's dumb as a brick. Let's just put him on this. Let's just put him
him on
out
Nostromo.
here. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, aliens are going to eat him. Oh, even better. I don't want to see him at Thanksgiving. Look at that guy.
I believe it. That's my headcanon now.
Well, maybe one day he'll get his own spin-off novel, and we can really explore his backstory.
Now that I'd be interested.
You could write that one.
Yeah. He's at Margaritaville, just like 6 bottomless mimosas later. They're like, "Hey, you want to captain this thing?"
We've already written like half the book.
It'll be a picture book.
Yes, it needs to be.
And then he became captain of the Nostromo, and everyone lived happily ever after.
Failing up.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I wanted to kind of touch on before we dig into the monster specifically here, but there was one of the definitive books on Alien is David McEntie's Beautiful Monsters. Have you read that, Pip?
No, I have not.
Oh, it's one I found a bunch of stuff from. Beautiful Monsters, the unofficial and unauthorized guide to the Alien and Predator movies. So it's one of the ones where I've found a bunch of information from. Much of it's just relayed on Wikipedia also, so you can find it there. But he wrote in his book, he said, quote, "The Alien is the, quote, best Lovecraftian movie ever made without being a Lovecraft adaptation due to its similarities in tone to Lovecraft's work." Then I also got another quote from O'Bannon where he said the film was strongly influenced tone-wise by Lovecraft. And then Geiger said that he was drawn to the initial storyline, quote, "because I found it was in the vein of Lovecraft, one of my greatest sources of inspiration." What do you, I don't know, Khalid, if you're as well versed in Lovecraft, but maybe you might be, Pip. Do you find this to be a Lovecrafty type movie?
You know, if you just looked at the first movie by itself, yes, definitely, because you don't really know that much about the creature. It is primordial. When they go into the ship, for the longest time, that body that you see in the big chair was called the space jockey.
Space jockey, yep.
Yeah, and it only later on became known as the engineer, and part of the mythos was built out. So if you just took the first movie, yes, definitely, because you're aware there's some larger conflict or mythology or something going on there, but you're not quite sure what it is. It was almost beyond sort of, at least the people on the Nostromo having any comprehension of it. And just the way the monster is definitely is mysterious as well. I had to have a long conversation with Clara about whether the xenomorph has eyes.
Ooh.
Are there eyes? Some people, it turns out there's a bit of a suggestion that there are some eyes behind a sort of the dome. And the other idea is that they have some sort of other extra sensory devices for finding and locating prey.
What's your headcanon?
Mine is that they have like sonar and really good smell and can detect pheromones, that sort of, or heat signatures. That sort of thing.
I'm gonna go with that too.
That makes a lot of sense because like it primarily is attacking them through the vents for the first like chunk of it, and I feel like they all had flashlights and stuff like that, so I feel like it's probably in that realm of like it can see better in the dark because it's not seeing per se.
And
I feel like there's moments too where like at the end when on the escape shuttle where Ripley was being really still and it wasn't clear if it was really seeing her or not.
Exactly.
So, I like that. I like that theory, but
because she's just like they're just in that shuttle. Like that is a tiny space.
She just backs away slowly.
Right? Yeah, like it's literally like as far away as you are from me.
Yeah.
So like if it'd be really like just inconsistent of it if it could if it had eyes.
Yeah, I like
put
that.
Put a couple of googly eyes on the outside. It really takes away from the whole appearance of the monster. Like, or maybe.
It could be a nice.
I thought he was taking like a little nap. You get tired chasing plant people around.
Yeah, what the hell was that? He's just really like
just tucking in for the ride.
Yeah, he's like, hey, yeah, no, I agree with you. That one ship sucked. Glad we got on this one.
Well, that is another sort of mysterious thing about the alien. How intelligent is it? I mean, sometimes it seems quite intelligent.
Other times, not so much. Yeah, the drones of them and different like subspecies of them. Yeah, it's different. Like, I think I agree with your take on like this movie in a vacuum is Lovecraftian in that sense because it's so unknown. But as the movies have progressed and we've getting more backstory and more lore and mythology, I feel like that comparison is less apt.
I think it's good at one thing, hunting, and it's like really, really good at it. It's like that.
And breeding.
It's like that one dude who tried to run for president, but like he was a heart surgeon, and like. Everybody was like, well, yeah, he's a heart surgeon. He should be president. Ben something?
Oh, Ben Carson.
Ben Carson. Aliens are like Ben Carson. Because his whole thing was like, yeah, because like as good as it is at hunting, you go, oh yeah, it's probably like a hyper intelligent species or whatever, but then it doesn't do anything else. In the same way that like we really just took it for granted that Ben Carson was a heart surgeon. And then he started talking about anything other than heart surgery.
And we were like, oh.
No. I know more than this guy.
I am absolutely going to have to listen in on your take on the next movie because
I'm very excited for it too. Honestly,
is Ben Carson in it?
No. Aliens or Ben Carson is a take.
I would actually. I mean, Alien is one of my top movies, but Aliens is my top movie. Like,
I think that's kind of the recurring thing I've been hearing. Like, it's rare that I've heard someone say that Alien is like the end all be all. It's always been Aliens, which again, like you got to give credit to the first for that. But that gets me excited. Anytime like a sequel sticks the landing, I'm so curious to see how.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. We should dig into the monster stuff here. I got a lot of interesting facts about it. So you guys ready to monster it up?
Let's monster.
Yes.
All right. So like I mentioned before, a lot of the information I got for the monster, like details, the xenomorph details, comes from that David McEntee book, as well as there's a documentary called The Beast Within, The Making of Alien, that has a lot. And much of that is just relayed through Wikipedia. So usually when I do research, I go to Wikipedia and like takes me places, but most of that was referencing the book and the documentary. So I looked into those too. But I was thinking that for this case, like normally when we do dig into monsters, we just kind of dig into the monster as a whole. I was thinking of breaking it down into the 4 elements of its life cycle that we see and kind of just doing a little bit about each life cycle. So we got the egg to face hugger to chest burster to full grown xenomorph. I will say as an aside, there was a cut scene that is in some director's cuts editions of this where Ripley would have encountered Dallas and Harry Dean Stanton's character, Brett.
I have seen that, yes.
Yeah, you probably see it's in the deleted scenes where they're cocooned at the end, and the idea that one was slowly turning into an egg to birth a face hugger that would then impregnate the other. So there's like elements.
That is called egg morphing. I learned that.
Egg morphing.
Yes.
Well, damn. There you go.
Because what happens if you only have one of these aliens? How are they going to lay eggs?
I thought that was a really interesting element of the like reproductive system of them to like it's. I guess I can see why it was cut if it's at the end and maybe like decrease like momentum at the time, but I kind of think that was like we have cocoons later on, so like it's canon that they do that. So I think that would have been an interesting one to keep in, but that's just an aside of like what they do. So I'm going to start with the egg that we see like on LV-426. Which, by the way, happy almost Alien Day. We're like right after the Alien Day, by the way.
Yeah.
So April 26th. So just that's it. But the egg itself. So behind the scenes, it was made of fiberglass, so that actor John Hurt could like shine his light on it and see the movement inside. Which was actually the movement was Ridley Scott in there fluttering his hands while in the egg while wearing rubber gloves. The top of the egg itself was like a hydraulic, and the innards were cow's stomach and tripe. Which I didn't know what tripe is. I learned is a type of edible lining from the stomachs of some farm animals.
Tasty.
So
gross.
I'm sure that smelled really good.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But the egg, like it was great. It looks very organic. It looks very like creepy. And they've kind of kept that throughout the series, that like kind of practical effect of the egg. But there's not too much to say about that other than that's just like a course, every movie has to have somebody just looking over the top of the egg, right?
Yeah. Well,
I love
Yeah.
the stickiness of the egg. It's got like
Oh
this
yeah, all
kind
the
of
goo, right?
juicy, sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that adds to it.
Yeah.
what do you think it would have tasted like if you just like scrambled it? Like, you know what I
Good
mean?
question. Good
Spicy
question.
because it's probably got acid for blood. So
Great point.
You don't
Yeah.
need hot sauce.
Oh yeah. Then after the egg, we got the face hugger, of course. So the face hugger for behind the scenes, mostly made of sheep's intestines. They shot the face hugger out of the egg using a high pressure air hoses. So for the scene in which they like examine like the dead face hugger, Ridley Scott uses pieces of fish and shellfish to kind of create the viscera. This creature, this like element of the alien, was actually the first design that Geiger made for the movie. But the final version that we end up seeing was based on that initial design, but modified by Dan O'Bannon and designer Ron Cobb, who is actually the one who came up with the idea for the acid blood as sort of like an added element as to why you can't just like shoot it, you know? So that was a kind of a clever bit that I thought. But yeah, the face hugger, very, very cool, like practical effects there, I thought. And I think it's just such an iconic, like, vision, that thing with like its legs and how like Khalid, you mentioned early on, like you can't cut it off because one, acid, and two, it just wraps further around the neck.
Yeah.
Like it's such a great defense
we
mechanism.
see that type when they first get
That's so cool.
and the helmet off, and you see the tail tightening, slithering
Yes.
into the Ooh, ugh.
For me, it's just that's a wrap. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you go and eat dinner with Henry Dean Stanton after that. Like, that to me is insanity. Like, after you saw all of that was after they saw that thing bleed acid through how many floors of their ship. Like, for me, it's just like, oh, you thought it was just like done after that? You're satisfied with that? Yeah. Like, for Ripley to not like be like, that's quarantine him now, please God, that is insanity.
I think actually Parker actually says, why don't we just freeze him?
Yeah.
And nobody answers. They just, I don't know.
Shut up, Parker.
Why don't you guys just
in
freeze
the belly
him?
of the ship.
No, it is. Yeah, it was a very insane move on their part. But yeah, speaking to the design and stuff like that, I think the facehugger is probably my favorite of the stages.
I think it's definitely one of the most interesting. I feel like, okay, this is kind of a story. This could make me sound cool or like a bad parent. I don't know, but my daughter, who's 4, who's like almost 5 now. Like, I feel like it was a couple years ago, like when she was like 3. We're just playing around, like tickling and stuff, and I just like put my face and I was like, face hugger, like on her face. Like, I don't know why I was like, face hugger, like alien. One just random aside thing. And now she does it still. Well, she'll just like go up to me or her little baby brother and just be like, face hugger, with her like hand on her face. So like, it's a thing in our house.
Well, I don't think CPS is gonna get called. But...
Yeah, hopefully. She hasn't seen Alien. She hasn't seen it yet.
Well, when she sees it, she'll really understand.
She'll be like, "Oh, the face hugger, cute." That's what she'll say.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I actually have a little plushy face hugger.
I love that. We should get one. I should get one and throw this. This is a face hugger. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
It's got like a little smiling face on the inside.
It's gonna be a real rude awakening when she does finally figure all this out. Like, oh yeah, this wasn't for kids.
Someday as an adult, she's like, "You did that to me when I was 3."
Yeah, did John Hurt die for nothing, Joe? Did you learn nothing?
But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Facehugger's pretty great. That does bring us next. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, if you've ever played Alien Fireteam Elite, they have a bit where like little face huggers start crawling towards you. And I don't care if you've been blasting aliens all day long. Something about the fact those when it starts crawling towards you with this little tail, you just start screaming and shooting it like, ah!
I think I remember that actually. Like that game. Like now I'm thinking about it. Like I remember playing Alien games as a kid, but I never remember what names they were. And I remember the sequence you're describing, like shooting the face huggers. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, they really, the scuttling and the wrapping and the impregnating. That's quite a trio of
impregnating. That's a big one. Yeah,
it's a big one.
The
Yeah.
way John Hurt's like belly just keeps going up and down when he's in that like MRI machine or whatever, and like
Oh, yeah.
he's literally being kept alive by the thing. It was upsetting.
Impressive role for John Hurt too. Like he did well there.
He did, yeah.
That does bring us to the chest burster, the next phase, I'd say. So the chest burster, the cute little baby alien.
Mhm.
Design of the chest burster was this is interesting, inspired by Francis Bacon's 1944 painting, 3 Studies for Figures at the Base of a Crucifixion. So that's take
Really?
that. Geiger's original design looked kind of like a plucked chicken, and they ultimately revised it. So they didn't
I think
take
I've
his
seen that.
design.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a goofy one. But I think, Pip, you kind of mentioned this a little bit too, but the chestburster scene itself was shot in one take to kind of like capitalize on that like chaos of it all. They used an artificial torso filled with like blood and viscera. So when John Hurt's head and arms were coming up from underneath the table, but the chestburster was like shoved up through the torso by like a puppeteer who held it on a stick. And the cast didn't know that the blood and everything was going to come out. They didn't know like the blood was going to be spurting off at them. And so like some of the reactions were genuine because they had a general idea of what to expect, but they didn't really know what it was going to be.
When that blood hit Veronica Cartwright's face and she lets out a scream, that's a genuine scream.
It's completely real. Completely real.
It is not acting.
Khalid, your favorite part here, the creature then runs off camera, in effect accomplished by cutting a slit in the table for the puppeteer's stick to just go through, and they pass an air hose through the puppet's tail to make it whip about.
That's so awesome.
I have to say, when they do that, when he does that, I'm almost always going, wee!
Right? Yeah. I just want them to give it like a little voice or something, you know, like just like Joe Pesci, but like his voice is like.
I guess.
You think of this?
I guess the Utes would say, "I'm yeeting out of here."
Have you guys seen the Spaceballs version?
I've seen parts of Spaceball.
There's like a Spaceballs. There's a parody sequence of this scene where I feel like they make the alien like dance or something afterwards. It's ridiculous, but kind of funny.
I always just remember when they say they're combing through the desert and then they have the afro pick. Oh, Mel Brooks.
That's Tim Russ.
Is it Tim Russ?
That's Tim Russ. We ain't found shit.
Oh, right. But Mel Brooks made Spaceballs.
Yeah, that scene I mean.
Yeah, so like just an aside, he does black jokes really well. You know what I mean? Like it's just sometimes he'll do like with Blazing Saddles is obviously the best example of it, but like when he does a black joke, like it's very informed and like you just know.
Just as an aside, I think she was 17 at the time. Our 17-year-old daughter watched that, and she turned when some of the jokes started flying, and she was like, "What? Why are they saying these things?" It was quite a shock for her.
So good.
I love that.
All right, so the final phase,
the xenomorph, the alien itself,
the big queen,
yeah. So here I got a lot on this one. This one's probably the most detailed. So H.R. Geiger made several conceptual paintings of the adult alien before settling on the final version. He sculpted the creature's body using plasticine, incorporating pieces such as like vertebrae from snakes and cooling tubes. He had cooling tubes from a Rolls Royce, actually. Like, Geiger and his tubes is all about that. The creature's head was manufactured separately by a designer called Carlo Rambaldi, who people may have heard of. He did the designs for the aliens for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Kind of a fun thing here. But ultimately, like, to bring the alien to life, they created like a system of hinges and cables to operate the creature's like rigid tongue, the protruding mouth, and the second mouth and all that. The final head had like 900 moving parts and points of articulation. And the actual original jaw that this guy Rambaldi designed is on display at the Smithsonian Institution. So we can go see it there.
Wow. Yeah. Road trip.
Fun fact. Yeah.
Actually, I'm just outside DC. I feel like I should go tomorrow.
There you go. Something to do. Monday morning.
Yeah, nice Monday morning stroll to the Smithsonian.
Show me your alien tongues.
That's what I want. That's what I'm here for. We have to mention, so the mostly the alien was portrayed by a few people, but mostly was an actor, Bolaji Badejo. There's a latex costume that was made to fit his body. He was a tall, skinny guy, 6'10". And Scott didn't really want the alien to have that guy in a suit vibe, even though we just talked about how much we love that vibe. But I think he was trying to do like lots of different kinds of camera tricks and angles and like ways of shooting the alien, so it never comes off like you're just seeing like somebody stand up in a suit. So it feels really like animalistic and scary. And I think that's like a credit to like Khalid, what you were saying about an actor portraying that role. Like somebody can kind of really get into that mindset and kind of like display that with like body movements that maybe might be harder or might be a little more impersonal doing it through a computer.
Well, as much as I love all of the other phases, the movie lives and dies on how effectively scary the alien is, the xenomorph is in its final form. And they knocked it out of the park. Honestly, it's the second mouth for me. It's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's such a like great additional detail of like, this feels like a real creature in that like, it is such an apex predator that even its mouth has a second predator in it. And that is so...
Its mouth has a mouth.
Its mouth has a mouth. Like, just saying that. Like, I can't think of that many creatures since then or before then that, like, are that, like, layered in their, like, the lore of its makeup, you know? And that's so cool. Like, obviously, Alien versus Predator, like, that was the mashup, you know? Like, those two creatures where it's, like, that's the only thing I can think of that comes close in terms of like literally everything about the way it's like designed and stuff like that is like the only reason the xenomorph beats it out is because it is just naturally that strong and that meant to kill versus like the predator was always like thought of as like it's just like the peak hunter. Everything about it like they've modified to become a peak hunter, and the xenomorph just didn't need it. It's just God's perfect little, like mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the little details, like when it sort of draws back its outer mouth, and it has like lips, and then there's like sort of shiny drool kind of coming between the jaws, and then the tongue mouth, the inner mouth. I can't remember how because I had to ask, what is that called? The bit that comes out and bangs you in the head and kills you. What's that called? It's just, you know, and it's also got that animalistic kind of like you could imagine if you saw a tiger in the wild back in the day, you might see it looking at you, well, no eyes. I think maybe even the fact it has no eyes makes it more frightening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally
it's sort of
does.
This void, like this merciless void, and you see it when that scene where the chains are clinking, and then Jonesy's kind of hissing, and then is it Brett is looking up,
Yeah, that
and
was
he's
Brett
like,
looking for him. Yeah,
and then it just is there, and you can see it's a bit like a snake. It's kind of got him dead to rights, and there's no way he's moving. He's just mesmerized by this thing. I mean, it's iconic and classic and terrifying and mesmerizing, but it's also really sinuous as well. When at the end when it gets out to confront Ripley that last time, it's how that is a 6'10" man in a suit. It kind of unwinds itself a bit like a snake. So it's got a lot of different things that I think hit a lot of different sort of primitive fear buttons inside a human brain.
And there's something so cool about like the tongue really does feel, or the second mouth, I guess, really does feel like what happened was that the chestburster version of it, like essentially grew that body around itself. And like, maybe that's just like the original part of it. And it's almost like it's running the rest of the xenomorph body like a mech suit.
like Independence Day.
Yeah, something like that.
I feel like the second mouth is definitely how it punches its way out.
Yeah,
inside a person.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And it had wonderful sound design around it. Just, I'm not sure. Did they have anything? Do you have any knowledge of the sounds? Because I
do.
I feel like there's a lot going on.
I wrote that down. Yep.
You should see the smirk on his face right now.
I know.
I got that.
You teed him right up, Pip.
So it's actually a guy did the sound, like it was a vocalizations. Percy Edwards, a voice artist famous for providing bird sounds for British television throughout the 1960s and 70s, as well as whale sounds. That was what he's famous for. Did the alien.
He
Oh
was
my
famous for
gosh.
it. He had
Famous
groupies.
for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Percy Edwards right there.
That's so
Well,
weird
props to you,
because
Percy.
I went to school in the 70s, and one of the things that we did in the 70s was lie on the ground during our music and listen to Wales songs. So I may have been listening to
You
Percy.
may have listened to him. There you go.
Yeah,
That's why it's so
little
resonant with you. Yeah.
little knowing that later he would be terrifying me with the sort of the snarls and growls and snaps and all sorts of things that the alien has.
So is that story specific to you or New Zealand? Like
I think
hanging
it's
out, laying.
I think it's probably a product of the 70s where my music teacher was just really high. And
Got it. I was gonna say that story sounded like someone was high in it. I didn't want to assume.
well, I was probably in elementary school, so hopefully it wasn't me.
Hey, whatever you guys do in New Zealand is your business. You know what I mean?
But I do remember whale music very fondly.
They made us do they made us do calisthenics to Michael Jackson songs. That was my gym experience as a kid. Yeah, just a bunch of little kids doing like bicycle kicks to beat it.
That sounds pretty fun too.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Any other tidbits?
Yeah, tidbits about the alien. I did read that as you might assume, there are copious amounts of KY jelly was used.
Yeah,
for the saliva and the gooiness. Yeah. Other than that, the only other thing I kind of pulled to kind of specifically talk about this was the quote from Ash, when he calls the alien the perfect organism, which is kind of like a phrase that's kind of gone throughout the franchise and it's like stood out. But he says, quote, "Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility. I admire its purity, its sense of survival, unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality." So I just think that's a nice thing to pull out.
It's a nice roundup. Yeah.
A nice
roundup.
roundup
The tail. The tail also has a barb on it, right? The tail is also dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's dangerous.
Because that's what he gets Lambert with, right?
Yep.
That's right. Oh, yes. Yes. Wait till you see aliens. You'll see far more alien tails that are just as dangerous. Yes.
We'll dig into the tail pretty hard there.
I am so excited for that.
I can't believe I said that.
I'm excited for you. I wish I could watch it again for the first time. It was,
Oh, man.
I'm a big James Cameron guy, so this is a big blind spot for me.
I think it's one of it's my favorite movie. I was thinking about it when I was writing the book. Like, is Aliens my favorite movie of all time? I was like, I think so. And
might just be.
That was only more inspirational for writing the book and going, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so fantastic.
That's so cool. That's so fun. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. I think I'm enjoying. I'm like thinking about Aliens too. I'm really excited for you to watch it, Khalid. It's a blast.
Can't wait for Jimmy C to blow my mind again for like the 10th time.
always it never fails, right?
Yeah. I have a question. You guys, are you going to be watching the theatrical cut or are you going to be watching the director's cut?
I think we'll do directors.
I'm taking Joe's lead on this.
I would take director's cut as well.
I usually default to director's cuts. Usually,
yeah. I mean, the director's cut of Alien was okay. I don't think it really added a huge amount extra to it.
That's true. We didn't do it for this one, yeah.
But I think the director's cut of Aliens adds a lot more character beats and just some cool little bits that are worth having in there.
Agreed. And for 3, I think we're going to stick with the assembly cut of that one.
Yeah. Joe's already told me about the drama in that. No,
my gosh!
I love that there's. I love that there's so much like in front of camera and behind the camera drama with the franchise that's going to make this like more fun to talk about than like just like the one-offs that we usually do.
Yeah, there's a lot to pull from. Yeah.
Aliens has a lot of American filmmaking butting up against British film workers going on. Cups of tea may have been involved.
It's the Revolutionary War, the sequel.
It is. and like the Revolutionary War, something beautiful came out of it.
You know, I feel like there's a lot of people that might push back on that one. The Alien franchise might have squeaked away with that, though. Yeah, I think.
Well, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it, and I'll be listening to that podcast to
Yay!
vicariously see the movie for the first time with you.
I will try to be
Yes.
as illustrative as possible in that case.
Well, you better.
I was gonna phone it in, but now that Pip's listening,
Yeah, just remember
Bring your
that.
A game
Remember
now.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I don't hear that you're blown away, I'm going to come on here.
well, you know, I was like doing laundry while I was watching it. It was okay.
Ooh.
I have to say, our daughter, we watched Aliens and Alien with her, and she at one point near the end of Aliens, grabbed hold of my hand so hard that she left fingernail prints in my hand.
No.
She was like, "What's happening?" And I think
wow.
my husband leaned across to her and said, "It's not over yet." So
Wow.
let me
I
know.
love that.
You'll know the moment when it hits.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna have to just hang on to my cat for that one. Unfortunately, Joe's arm will not be within
I will not be
reach.
with you on that one. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there. I suppose like wrapping up kind of our conversation on this one, I feel like there's just so much you can dig into this movie that we can't just cover in one podcast. Like, I think it's notable to say like just the miniature work of the spaceships is really cool. And it's really impressive. Like the camera tricks that they did. Like I mentioned while we were watching Khalid, that when they were on the ship with the space jockey or the engineer, like some of the spacesuits were like Ridley Scott's kids. It's just to make this sense of scale.
And Dan O'Bannon.
And Dan O'Bannon's kid, like we're just like walking around in spacesuits to be like, this is so how big it is, right?
Once you pointed it out, I could tell.
You could tell like little kids walking.
Yeah, like it's very much a kid gate.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah.
So like that's just a fun thing to mention. Like all the stuff with like Ash and the VFX work, like it's fun to see like when it's like the modeled Ian Holm head and then it suddenly turns into the real head popping through the table. Like that special effects is super fun.
I loved seeing the inside of the aliens. I was like, they look like you could just pop them, like, you know, like bubble wrap. I just feel like I want to get my hand in there and start popping whatever those things are.
Oh, I know. Yeah. They're just goopy and goofy. Yeah. But I suppose, we should probably wrap it up for this one.
And just a quick note for Steins.
Yeah.
We will be holding off on doing Fight or Flirt for Xenomania until the end, just because we'd be saying the same thing
over and over.
More, they might change movie to movie, but we want to just do like a super Fight or Flirt at the end of the series to kind of like cap it off.
Yeah.
So that's why you won't be hearing that in the Xenomania episodes.
So far, yeah. It'll get there. And to Pip, that's a special segment we do in our episodes usually where Khalid talks about fighting or flirting the monster. So listen in for that, his take on that.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
According to Joe, it's one of my little bits.
One of your little bits, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of little bits.
I don't agree with that description of it, but it does explain it pretty well.
It sticks.
Yeah.
It sticks.
Now, I look forward to hearing about the role flute playing brings to that particular.
Oh, yeah.
You better believe that's going to heavily affect my decision.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We do have one final segment in the show that is not necessarily related to the movie that we'll move into. I think, Pip, I probably forgot to tell you about this one because I always forget to tell the guest about this one. But it's pretty low key, and I'll let you go last. Our final segment that we go into is our What the Fandom segment, in which we all just share one or two things that we're like watching, listening to, reading that we're kind of digging right now that we think our audience might be interested in hearing about. Doesn't have to have anything to do with monsters, horror, genre, or what we're talking about. So again, Pip, I'll let you go last. Khalid, start us off. What the fandom with you?
Thanks for asking, Joe. My What the Fandoms this week, I will have multiple. I'm bringing that back. Joe, you're going to look me in the eye and tell me I can't? Yeah, you're not.
Well, I'm looking you in the eye.
Yeah, but that's it. That's all you're doing. Anyways, my What the Fandoms this week, the first one is going to be the Peacock television series, Mrs. Davis. I've only seen the first 2 episodes as of this recording, but it is a new Damon Lindelof, and I should have looked up who the other showrunner is. Her name is Tara something, But they have a new show on Peacock, and essentially it's about a world where there's essentially like a new god that is an AI system essentially, and everybody just gets their commands from that god via headsets if they so choose to. And it's essentially like reshape the world because it's so popular and because it's like such a revolutionary thing, except that there are a few people out there that are very suspect of the AI's motives and whether it's actually God, and whether what it's asking of people to do is maybe more sinister than they're letting on. And so we follow Betty Gilpin's character, who is a nun, who is one of the people that is suspect of Mrs. Davis. And she gets put on a quest to get the Holy Grail because of Mrs. Davis, and it seems really exciting and zany and madcap. And so far, in just the first 2 episodes, there have been just like a cast of crazy characters. It really evokes Barry. But if you've seen Lindelof's other big show about religion, The Leftovers, then you know that this is a very thoughtful showrunner, and he is very, very interested in the implications of big ideas. He also did that with the Watchmen sequel for HBO, that miniseries that he did. So I'm very, very curious to see where it goes. I think the first 2 episodes definitely deliver on the potential of a story that I just pitched, and I know that he's going to stick the landing, whatever the landing looks like for a show like this. Tonally, it is so different and like a lot more comedically reliant than his other work has been, and so I'm curious and excited to keep going with it. So that's my first recommendation, and then my second recommendation I came up with through discussing this podcast. Actually, it's History of the World Part 2 that premiered on Hulu, and yeah, we were just gushing over Mel Brooks, and I remembered that, and I was like, oh yeah, it fell right around the time when we weren't recording, so it never made it into its own proper with the fandom. So I want to do it justice now. If you've seen History of the World Part 1, then you are so going to be satisfied by Part 2. The series does such a great job of building on what those ideas that were introduced in the first movie did, and it really does a good job of like bringing it up to modern sensibilities without necessarily compromising on what made the first movie so great. So it's a series now, and it's star-studded, and they just have so many great references. I think my favorite was he basically makes Jesus and the 12 apostles the Beatles. Mm-hmm. And they really do. They lift a lot from that Peter Jackson documentary, Get Back, that just came out last year.
Yeah.
And so like it's just Jesus and them like talking about like biblical stuff, but like it's just like a band that's just like workshopping bits or like or songs, and it shouldn't work, and it works so well. And I can't speak enough of its praises, like especially this late in Mel Brooks's life, when like this very really realistically could be the last thing we get from him. Like it's such a great like note to end on for like an already impressive and like storied career. So yeah, those are my 2 recommendations. Joe, what the fandom with you?
Thanks for asking, Khalid. Those are some pretty good recs. I will say the one thing that I'll recommend, I have 2 as well this week. I am reading a book. I just started it. It's pretty well-known series from Becky Chambers, the Wayfarer series. If listeners may have heard of it, but I'm reading the first one in that series called The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And I'm only in the beginning where we're just getting to know some of the characters, but I already know just from like the first couple pages how much I love this. Like I'm all about space opera. I love weird aliens and weird cultures and races that are just like introduced in like a space opera setting, and it's just delivering on that already. And so I'm digging it. It's got this, it does kind of actually have the blue collar like crew vibe, which is kind of fun, like just working class people on a ship, like doing runs and doing business deals and stuff, like just kind of making their way through the universe. And it's the plot of it hasn't kicked in gear fully yet, but I'm just getting these really like fun, like cozy vibes from it, where it's like I'm just reading it and I'm like, I'm just really loving this. This is just nice. I'm just having a nice time with it. So if you haven't checked out the Wayfarer series from Becky Chambers, I'm really into it, and I'm really excited to go further and ideally dig into the sequels, which I think there are 3 or 4 at this point. I'm not sure if she's making any more, but I'm digging it. It's a lot of fun. The other recommendation I would have for y'all is I'm finally watching the Sandman series on Netflix, which took me a little while to get to it. My wife and I, Nicole Weifenstein, friend of the podcast, who's going to be joining us for one of these episodes too. We're both fans of Neil Gaiman. We're both fans of the Sandman comics. We read them a long time ago, so we're really pumped for the show. But it took us a little bit to finally get started with just everything that's going on in life and kids and all that. But we're finally in it. We're about 4 episodes in. And I would say at this point, it's really living up to the hype of what I was hoping a Sandman series would be. And it's such a hard universe to adapt. It's such a rich text, like rich source material. And I'm happy with the weight that all these stories are given. And what I heard, like the first season's really only covering, like, I think a little bit of the first like trade paperback that came out of it. And like, I think that's great that they're just spending time and letting us sit with these like longer scenes and longer sequences and characters and letting them be more fleshed out. So I think that so far at this point, I would say the Sandman series does the comics justice. So I'm really happy with it. So yeah, that would be my fandoms for the week. How about you, Pip? What the fandom with you?
I'm working on a new writing project, so I haven't got a new thing. But I have been watching The Power on Amazon Prime. And I know it's based off a book. I haven't read the book. It's the conceit is that suddenly women start developing electrical powers. Basically, there's an organ that's sort of around their collarbone, and it's an interest. I mean, I studied politics, so it's got a lot of political stuff because suddenly women are feeling that they do have more control over their lives and perhaps even some leverage over men. But I also quite enjoying it because it's got a really international. I'm a sucker for anything that's sort of outside the borders of America. It has American stuff in it, but it also is set in the Middle East and Africa and England and sort of places like that. And it's got Toni Collette in it, who I quite like. It's interesting. I am still waiting to see what they're actually trying to say. I can't decide whether the where the showrunners are going exactly on it. It's dropping, I think, every week, so I haven't really caught up with that. The other thing I've been doing is we're getting into a new role-playing session. We have a Wednesday night group on Discord doing the Rime of the Frost Maiden. And for about 6 years, I was playing a barbarian, which was a lot of fun. But now I've been playing a druid, and I actually hear that apparently druids are not the most popular characters for people to be. And so I decided to give it a go, and I'm quite enjoying it. I think my favorite move last week was I flew up as an owl as we were fighting somebody, turned into a walrus, and landed on their foot.
Wow.
Amazing.
I played druid too. Yeah, druids are fun. Wild shape.
Oh, good. Yeah. Wild shape for everything. Yeah, yes. We're still very low-level characters, but dropping a walrus on somebody is quite effective.
That is huge.
Yes, literally.
I love that. That's great.
So that's my geekiness, apart from writing, which is inherently a geeky activity for me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. This was a blast. It was a blast to have you and get to know you a little bit on this podcast, and like your background with Alien is being able to bring that perspective of somebody who's like worked kind of in the franchise to this conversation was really fun. And we just appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Agreed. This is such a fun talk.
Oh yes, we could be talking for another few hours, I'm sure.
Agreed. Do you have like for anyone listening to find you, like social medias you want to plug or anything like that?
You will find me at pjballantine.com. It should have links to books and news that might be coming sometime soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that goes to all my different socials and stuff. So
that's
I'm
awesome.
on Instagram
and we'll link all
everywhere.
that stuff. Yeah, we'll link everything in our show notes, your website and all, and your social medias and all that. So if anyone wants to find that, you can find that there as well. You mentioned you have a writing project in the works. I'm guessing you can't say anything yet about that, correct?
I thought I might be able to speak about it, but apparently not right now. But you know,
Okay.
not in a
All
wink.
right. We'll
Keep
not
them
push
in
it.
suspense.
All right. I'm
That's
excited.
right. That's right.
All right. Well, in the meantime, check out Alien Inferno's Fall and check out all of Pip's other books. I mentioned briefly in the intro, but you've got a whole bunch of other like fantasy and genre series that definitely will fill people's time.
I have never met a speculative fiction genre I didn't like.
I think I'm with you on that one. I love it.
I have no opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, Pip, I just want to echo everything Joe said. This was such a great conversation. And honestly, I don't want to brag too much, but kind of a flex on my part. Because like of all the things to hold out on watching the Alien franchise for, being able to talk to you, it feels like a bit of a flex. So thank you for giving me that to brag about. I don't have enough already. But yeah, everybody else that was listening, thank you so much. As we mentioned, this is going to be a part of a series, our first kind of go at something like this. So you'll be learning along with us what works, what doesn't. So far, I would say we're knocking it out the park. So stick with us as we continue with this awesome Alien franchise. And next episode, we'll be talking about aliens. In the meantime, if you guys can like and subscribe wherever you listen to our podcast and give us a good old rate and review. We need them stars, baby. Give us some stars. And until next time, creep it easy.